And tell me about the room.
It's completely trashed all the time. We took all of their toys and put them in boxes on a high shelf. I have all of their clothes put away. They have stuffed animals, a shelf of stuffed animals, and there's not really much else in the room, but it's always a mess, and it's scraps of paper or scissors or like Tupperware from downstairs, other people's things. Their toothbrush.
This is distinguished from the other children in the family?
Oh yeah, they are the worst.
Okay, there's several things about this. One is that most of the time, children have far more stuff in their rooms than they care about, and would not miss something at some level. Can you think of walking in their room when they're not there and picking up an item and sticking it in the top of the closet somewhere, and they wouldn't miss it? They would miss it.
No,
You like that. Can you think of doing it twice?
10 times.
Can you think over and over? That's what I would start doing, is I would start thinning out the room.
Most of their toys are in the boxes that are like ceiling level shelves.
Yes, but they get them out?
No, they don't touch them.
Okay, then that's, look, I don't care where you put them, but you need to remember where you put them, because one of these times you'll take something you shouldn't have taken. And the kid will say, "Where's my gizmo?" And you say, "I'll go look for it," and of course you know where it is. And you, of course, you find it. You don't need to tell them why it got up where you found it. Just say, "I found it," and that's the end of that. But typically, you can thin out a child's room fairly severely, and they don't even know you're doing it. And I would start with that. This is for no reason other than make your life easier. You don't have as much to pick up, and there's not as much around. And so I would start moving that way with their stuff.
What about the problem of them getting other people's things? Like they don't even play with Matchbox cars, but they'll bring the boys' Matchbox cars and leave them on their floor just to have a mess, I think. I mean, they just like to live in a mess. And it's stuff I can't, I mean, they'll take school books or kitchen utensils and just play with them in their room and leave them on their floor. I banned the 4-year-old from going in a room for a couple of weeks, and it helped some.
I've spoken to you about maturity. A 10-year-old, for instance, a 10-year-old would be somebody that might respond to a maturity allowance on that one, in which you would fine the person because of not keeping the room clear. In the same way I said I went and made up my child's bed. I didn't tell her to go do it. I just went and did it myself, and I gave her a bill for it. But she was already counting on the money. She was fixed on the money at that point. She needed money for shoes and tickets and everything else. She was a teenager, and it was time for her to get on with her life. And I was funding her life basically, but I was not buying stuff for her like I used to. And when I took that, she took a big hit on the money like that. It meant a lot to her. She couldn't afford to lose that kind of money. And so that's where a 10-year-old is going to be going, but a 4-year-old doesn't give a hoot about it probably, and a 7-year-old probably doesn't give much of a hoot about it. To train them to pick it up is going to take a lot of concentration, and it's a possibility you can do that. And that would be Saturday school. And the way you do that is you would say, you have a problem with taking out books and not putting them away. This is what it looks like in your room when your books are all where they belong. You see what it looks like? Okay. Let's make it look like that. Put them away. And when she puts them away, you thank her for it. And then you do it again. Say, "Now do it again." And when she does it again, you say, "Now do it again." This is training. And you could do this for a while. This is literally making the mess yourself and telling her, "You pick it up." And then you make the mess again and say, "You pick it up." I don't want to pick it up. I'm through with this. I don't do this. Wait in your room till you do. Now, the trouble you have is you've got two children. You've got a 4-year-old and 7-year-old, and it's very, very easy for them to blame the other kid or to say it wasn't my fault or things like that. So another way to do it then would be to have, I went to the Citadel, and they had this rule that they really didn't care who made the mess in the room. There was something called a room orderly. The room orderly was the guy who got nailed. They didn't care who made the mess. The room orderly changed once a week. And there was a little place in the room where the person's name was. And so if someone came in the room and saw a mess, the room orderly was the guy who got nailed. It didn't matter who made the mess. The room orderly got nailed for him. And so it might be a help to you to say, you're in charge of the room this week, and anything that's wrong in here, you'll fix. And you're in charge of the room next week, anything that's wrong in here next week, you'll fix. So it's not me that has to fix it, so I can make a mess this week. But don't forget that next week it'll be the other way around. And the other guy gets to do the same thing. Well, that's stupid. That's really stupid. And this is how you start learning, well, if I scratch your back, you'll scratch my back. That's important.
For the 4-year-old, is a week better than like a day?
Oh, yeah, no, I wouldn't do it weekly. No, I'd do it daily probably.
Daily, okay.
And so I'd say you're in charge of the room. If the room's a mess, you'll pick up the room. And tomorrow you'll be in charge of the room. And you keep track of it yourself. And you could maybe make a little sign that puts one kid or the other kid's name on the door. Say this person's in charge of the room. This gives them responsibility. And you might even talk to them about saying, would it be a help to you if you didn't have so much stuff to make a mess with? You might ask them that, because you might find, yeah, that really would be a help. I really wish I didn't have so much stuff in here. Would you be okay with me taking this box of stuff out of here? Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, you can make a major impact today, just walk in there and clean house. It's really interesting to me that most of the stuff that's in a kid's room is far more important to the parent than it is to the child. Children typically don't care about most of the stuff that's on a bookshelf, or most of the stuff that's in a toy box and things like that. They don't care about it. It's just there. How long has it been there? Since you were 3 years old. Well, here I am, 8 years old, and it's still in there. And I don't care it's in there. It's something to pick up, that's all, just stuff to pick up. And if I'm trying to get at something, it's in my way and I throw it on the floor, trying to get at something else. And they don't even see it, they don't notice it. So I would try to make their lives easier. I would reason with them about it and see whether they would be okay with phasing stuff out of their room. Because, as children get older, they like to have different decor in their room. That's common. I don't know if you've gotten that way with your 12-year-old yet or not. The 12-year-old might want to have a different look in his room. So I would think this way about that, just to help them with that part of it. And then I would think about whether I wanted to train them or not. If you want to train them, that's how you train them. You throw the stuff on the floor and say, pick it up. Then throw it on the floor again and say, pick it up again. I'm not mad at them. It's just, this is what you got to do. And I would give the responsibility, as I said, one person or the other, and that guy's in charge. In fact, if it's a mess, that's the guy who has to pay the price for it.
Is my undivided attention while that's being practiced important, or
Oh,
can
yeah.
I like read a book while they're picking up their
Well,
books?
I think, yeah, you can be casual about it, but I'd be in the room with them.
Right.
I'd be in the room with them. And I define picking up. I'm not talking about just throwing it somewhere. I'm talking about I want it to look like this. I'd show them what a picked up room looks like. The books look like this, the toys look like that, the closet looks like this, right? Got everything down? Everything there? Okay, good. And then make a mess. Now you do it.